Welcome to the I Love Buffalo podcast. Part of the I Love Buffalo network with your host, Josh Catry.
Welcome, good neighbors, to the I Love Buffalo podcast. I'm your host, Josh Catry, and thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, this is a weekly podcast, dropped every Monday, and you can expect 20 to 40 minutes, no topic off limits, everything from Buffalo to entrepreneurship to sports to news and beyond. Today on the podcast, the Iron Boot of Government appeals the previous decision about Albert the Alligator coming home. A Hallmark movie comes to Buffalo. New York State's Health Commissioner faces a no confidence vote. Melinda from Buffalo does it again, winning gold medal at the Pan American Championships. And Snuggles the dog is reunited with his owner after 11 years missing. All this and more on this episode of the I Love Buffalo podcast. That right there was South Buffalo's own The Tradesmen. I love this band. I've seen them 3 times now. I saw them at Music is Art. I've seen them at Pearl Street. And I've also seen them at The Kaz. And they do a great job blending a lot of their own tracks with some really nice remixes. They do a remix of the B-52's Love Shack, and it absolutely crushes. And then they have their own tracks too. They remind me of a band that if you walked into a New Orleans bar or a Nashville bar and just caught their set, you'd be stoked that you caught it. And you'd be leaving there in a good mood. Highly recommend checking them out. They got an act coming up here that I'm probably going to try to attend on Friday, April 25th, alongside Uncle Ben's Remedy, who I sampled, I believe, last week or the week before. So check them out. They're called The Tradesmen. In our first segment, the legal battle over Albert the Alligator has intensified as New York State Department of Environmental Conservation appeals the court ruling favoring Albert's owner, Tony Cavallaro. Disagreeing with the decision, the DEC filed an appeal 3 days ago, prolonging the legal battle and delaying Albert's potential return. The 750-pound alligator has resided in a special enclosure at his house in Hamburg for 34 years, and because of permit issues, it was seized by the DEC and shipped out of state. So since then, Tony's been fighting to try to bring Albert the Alligator home. He won his court case, but now for some reason, the Iron Boot of Government feels that appealing this is the best step. Albert and Tony have had a bond, and it's not fair to either of them to be separated. This isn't representation. This is just bullying by government. More government overreach, more government bullying. Get out of the way, stop it, and everyone keep voicing your opinions. Hopefully, we can bring Albert the Alligator home where he belongs. In our next segment, some entertainment news. A Hallmark movie is coming to Buffalo, and my wife just got super happy. So Julie, she watches Hallmark movies in the wintertime, around Christmas especially. She has mastered the plot. She can predict almost everything that's about to happen as she watches them. But maybe this one will be different because, first of all, it's going to be right here in Buffalo, New York. The Hallmark Channel is set to premiere Holiday Touchdown, a Buffalo Bills love story, during its 16th annual countdown to Christmas in 2025. So it seems the Hallmark Channel has been pairing up with the NFL and trying to bring more female fans on board. As we all saw with Taylor Swift, that was obviously a push to do exactly that and find a broader, wider variety of fan base. And it seems to be working, in all honesty. I know a lot more people interested in the NFL today than previously. And now they're doing it also with the Hallmark Channel, which is probably having a similar effect, and that is their goal. And this is going to be a continuation. They did Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story last year, and this year it's a Bills love story. So while the specific plot details are still forthcoming, the film aims to blend the festive spirit of Christmas with the passionate culture of Buffalo Bills football. 100% of the filming locations will take place right here in Buffalo and Western New York. I have a friend in this industry named Ben Manarino, and he was the founder at Buffalo Camera Company and manager at Expressway Cinema Rentals. So when a lot of the big movies come to town, they rent the cameras and the tracks and all that high-tech equipment from Ben's team. And so maybe I can get some information from him as more comes out. Right now, the locations, we know they're going to be all in Buffalo. We don't know exactly where. We're going to be filming later this year, and it's going to premiere this year, like the 2025 holiday season. The casting is not done yet. They didn't start to cast it. And Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin made a post about it, kind of prepping it and putting the word out there, getting a little teaser going. Like I said, sometimes me and my wife like to sit around and talk about the plots for the Hallmark movies. And this one here is probably going to be similar to the other ones. You have like a big city marketing executive named Holly Winters or something like that. And she's here from New York just before Christmas to help do something with her company. And surprise, surprise, she gets stuck in one of those crazy lake effect storms and she gets snowed in during this storm. And she finds her way to a Bills-themed bed and breakfast owned by Josh Allen. Not that Josh Allen, but a flannel-wearing, wing-eating, folding table smashing superfan with a similar name. And Josh runs this Airbnb with his grandmother. They call her Mafia Mama, of course. And this sassy older woman hosts the Table Dive Tuesdays and has a life-size cardboard cutout of Jim Kelly right in the middle of her living room. And of course, the two main characters end up falling in love and getting engaged at the AFC Championship as they're about to go to the Super Bowl for the first time with Josh Allen. And she says yes. All right, that was fun. Just a little fun fact that over 75% of all Hallmark Channel viewers also watch the NFL games during the 2024 countdown to Christmas. And this year, they aim to make that number even higher. This initiative not only highlights Buffalo Bills, but also aims to showcase the Western New York community, bringing a heartfelt holiday story to the Hallmark audience and beyond. Next up, we have some state-level news that affects everyone. New York State's mental health commissioner, Dr. Ann T. Marie Sullivan, is facing a potential no-confidence vote initiated by the Public Employees Federation, the PEF. This action stems from concerns over staff safety following several violent instances at state psychiatric facilities. Some notable events include a staff member sustaining a traumatic brain injury at South Beach Psychiatric Center and an attempted sexual assault at Long Island facility. The PEF represents over 54,000 state workers, has criticized the Office of Mental Health for inadequate responses to these assaults, and is advocating for enhanced safety measures, such as the installation of body scanners and mandatory reporting of assaults to law enforcement. The union plans to hold rallies and conferences addressing the violence ahead of the scheduled June 12th vote. In some ways, this kind of reminds me of the prison guard strike, where they want safer working conditions. Again, we're not listening to the people inside the system to try to help solve the problem with them. Top-down organizations, the government, is telling us how to solve our problems instead of letting all the people be part of the problem-solving solution. That is the biggest problem, maybe anywhere besides corruption, is the fact that all of us that are in the systems and have skin in the game should be part of the problem-solving process. And again, it sounds like this is not happening here. This did not happen during the prison guard strike. And even though that strike is technically over, 14,000 guards went on strike, but they ended up laying off over 2,000 officers who didn't return to work and then banned them from working in New York State. Again, another iron boot of government situation where they're just strong-arming people. And guess what? The problem isn't solved. As of today, the strike has officially ended, yes, but the prison systems remain super understaffed, still relying on the National Guard members to fill the gaps. Like, how long are they going to do that for? It's still a mess. So no solution has been solved. They made it worse. And the top down is just basically trying to strong arm and bully everyone instead of listening to us. We need to decentralize and organize better against these corrupt systems, because we should not have good people working in these systems trying to help inmates, trying to help psychiatric patients, and at the same time being injured and hurt. A woman who was pregnant lost her baby because she touched fentanyl, and then they had to give her Narcan to bring her back so she didn't die, but her baby died. That's unacceptable. This is not the kind of society or systems we should allow. And if the people will not listen to us and listen to the people within the system, we need to find new people. We cannot tolerate these bad systems, and we shouldn't tolerate it, and we don't have to tolerate it. Okay, let's move over to sports now. First off, Melinda G does it again. Melinda G from Buffalo United Martial Arts. She is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, and she competed in the Pan American Championships last week in Florida, which is the second biggest tournament in the world under the World Championships or Master Worlds. Those two for the age brackets. The next biggest one is the Pan American Champion. And as you know, if you're paying attention and listening to the podcast earlier, she won the European Open recently. And now this is two really big championships in 1 year. She's going on to attack a few more. She's going to try to win the Brazilian Championship, the Master Worlds, the no-gi pans, and the no-gi worlds. So no-gi means you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt basically, or a rash guard. And regular jiu-jitsu, you wear a uniform, a gi. It's called a kimono or a gi. It looks like, picture judo, same thing, jiu-jitsu. That's the uniform. So a huge congratulations to you, Melinda. Keep putting in the hard work, and we'll all be watching as your biggest fans here in Buffalo to see what you do next. A couple other shout outs here. One goes to Janie McGowan. She is the new K4 Muay Thai champion. She just won the championship over the weekend at 115 pounds. Congratulations to Janie McGowan for that. And Genevieve, the mom of five we've talked about here before, also placed bronze medal in the Pan American Championship in Jiu-Jitsu in Florida. So congratulations to all of you for representing Buffalo and for your accomplishments. Over to the NFL, the Buffalo Bills have secured a key player to a 4-year, $76 million contract. They've come to terms with Christain Benford, ensuring that his presence through the 2029 NFL season. He was a 2022 sixth-round draft pick, but he's been instrumental in the team's defense, probably arguably the best defender on our team, notably allowing the fewest yards per snap in coverage during the 2024 season. And he is elite, and this price tag is a bargain for a player like that. Joe Marino from the Locked On Bills network says that Christain Benford is his favorite player on defense. And on top of that this is an absolute steal. He views Benford as a top 5 corner in the NFL. And he always talks about getting in-house evaluations right. And so in-house evaluations means the people that you drafted, get those right. So in the same year Christain Benford was drafted, so was Kaiir Elam. And Kaiir Elam was a first-round pick that didn't work out. We shipped him out. And Christain Benford, though, was a sixth-round pick. So can you be mad at Brandon Beane? Probably not, because you're going to get some picks right and some picks wrong. You should get less first-round picks wrong. I think that is a reasonable expectation. But absolutely crushed a sixth-round draft pick with Christain Benford here. And now we locked him up till 2029. This is an absolutely great thing to have done before the start of the season, and I look forward to seeing how they build the defense going forward from here. Over to the Sabres in hockey, the Sabres are now 4-1 in their last 5 games. So they're on a little bit of a winning streak here. Instead of trying to get the best player in the draft, which they do sometimes, embrace the tank or whatever that was called, the Sabres continue to try to turn the culture over to a winning culture. And in doing so, since the trade deadline, they've been playing pretty good. A lot better than way before the trade deadline. They've added some good pieces and removed some pieces that were not working out as well. And the culture does seem to have changed. They're grinding, they're scoring high-scoring games. So in their last game against the Capitals, which is one of the best teams in the NHL, they scored 8 goals and they won 8-5 yesterday. So keep stringing the victories together. I am not for tanking. Even if you tank, you still have to win the lottery, and they're not totally eliminated. Is their chances slim? Their chances are very slim to make the playoffs. But if it was me, I think the culture change is more important. Try to win. Make the games exciting. Make people keep going to the games and being interested and seeing what's going on. And it's the only way to do this is one step at a time. Learn how to win. And they're winning some good games where they get behind and come back. The Sabres seem to be adding more grit and gumption, and that's a great sign. Let's keep it going. Let's keep rolling. The Sabres currently sit 9 points out of a playoff spot with 9 games remaining, so there's 18 points on the board for them still to obtain. See how it goes? In our last news segment here, good news. Snuggles the dog is home. This is a remarkable story, actually. From Buffalo, New York, a woman named Melanie Epperson was reunited with her dog Snuggles after 11 years apart. Imagine that. Imagine losing your dog and over a decade later, you're reunited. So Snuggles went missing 11 years ago while Epperson was helping her grandson move into a new home. Despite extensive searches, Snuggles was never found, and Epperson eventually lost hope of seeing him ever again. Recently, Epperson's daughter, Chantel Stroud, received a message from the City of Buffalo Animal Shelter, and the staff there informed her that Snuggles had been found and was identified through his microchip. Initially skeptical, both Epperson and Stroud were overwhelmed with joy upon confirming that it really was Snuggles. Despite the disbelief, there was happiness, stating she never thought she'd see Snuggles again. The particular breed of dog that Snuggles has an estimated lifespan of over 18 years. And so Epperson is focused on cherishing the remaining years with Snuggles and is excited and grateful for the time they have left together. And this story serves as a testament to the importance of chipping your dogs. If you can afford it, get your pets chipped. This way, if you lose them and they ever turn up, they can be returned to the owner. And as we can see with this amazing story, hope is never totally lost. Also, there's a couple of Facebook pages that I follow that are really good at helping recover dogs. I personally have found quite a few dogs. If I see a dog running around the streets in my neighborhood, I try to catch it. And so I've done this a few times and returned dogs to their owner, usually through one of the Facebook pages. So the first one is called Western New York, WNY, Lost and Found Pets. And the other one is called Lost and Found Pets of WNY. So they're very similar. They both have 50,000 plus followers. And a couple of times I found a dog and got him into my car, got him in my house. I was able to get him back to the owner by using these pages and posting on there some pictures, and then everyone shares it and acts like a collective intelligence swarm should act, decentralizes, shares it everywhere, and usually the owners can be found. I love stuff like this. I love when groups solve problems together, and that's what that is. That is group problem solving, also known as collective intelligence, when there is something happening where the whole community can get involved and try to help share and like and post and try to find the owners and return dogs to their owners. Speaking of solving problems in groups and talking about decentralization and using communities or groups of people to solve problems together, I met a really interesting person yesterday, and they're going to be the highlight business of the week. So every week we like to pick an entrepreneur from Western New York and kind of highlight what they're doing. This was really interesting. The name of the business is an app called Recipe Route. It's like a mobile app for your phone, and it helps users create recipes based on ingredients they have on hand and also mixing it with local farm ingredients. So instead of going to the store, what you can do is input ingredients or input like a recipe into the system, and it will show you, go to this farm, go to this local farm, mix it with this one. And it creates a little route for you if you want to go in the country and go shopping on a map, which is super cool. And eventually the plan is to get delivery, so you don't really have to do all the steps. But this has been a year progress for the owner. His name is Nick Gunner. Real interesting guy. I probably could end up talking his ear off for about 2 hours because he is in the same space that I'm very interested in, which is decentralization, but organization. So decentralization obviously means like you're not working for a big giant company. You have a farm, I have a farm, he has a farm, she has a farm, they have a farm. And then how do we organize and get to a marketplace together? And sometimes use our buying power together, and sometimes do things like this with better organization. Well, the answer is use technology to organize, but still stay decentralized. So Recipe Route is on the cutting edge of this. He's a really smart guy. Ivy League Cornell guy who spent the last year working on this app. And he also works for a part of NASA as well. So I'm really interested in seeing this. I already downloaded the app on my phone. It's free. Like, if you're listening to this, do the guy a favor, go to Recipe Route right now, RECIPE, Recipe Route, ROUTE. Find it in the App Store, download it on your phone. That will give him more users. He's a local company. The more users he has, the better. And then we can do case studies. And this is really cool. I can see connecting even more than just recipes in the future. Connecting all health and wellness products, that are basically clean. There's just a lot that you could do with this kind of technology. And I look forward to talking to him more. I would love to bring him on the podcast for a short segment. We discussed that yesterday as well. There's no interviews being done yet extensively on this podcast. It's more of just a 20 to 30 minute blurb kind of podcast, but we will have some guests in the future for sure. And he is near the top of my list to be on that. So go download Recipe Route and check it out. And if you're a local farmer, put your farm on there. So that way that there's products on there when people are looking for whatever, raw milk, or they want grains that don't have pesticides in them, or whatever they want to try to get locally, and they need specific ingredients. This will form ingredients for specific recipes, and we can keep eating clean, keep fighting diseases. And as you guys know, I cured my autoimmune diseases with carnivore diet, cured my clinical anxiety and panic disorder with carnivore diet. But now I eat a much more wide variety of foods. Yesterday, I even had pizza. I had a whole little pizza for myself. I've had a couple slices in the last year, but my wife makes her own sourdough starter, and she made a crust with that. And this is key because a lot of the breads in the store are fortified, and fortified means sprayed with folic acid and chemicals, and it's really bad. If I eat that stuff, I will have problems. But not just me. Many people in the autoimmune community have problems. So connecting clean foods together is awesome. This is one of the coolest projects I've seen. Go download it today. It is Recipe Route. And by the way, I have no connection to him at all or any of the people I really talk about. Maybe they're my friends, since becoming a podcaster here and talking to people. But I don't have any skin in the game with most of these businesses, except for the few that I clearly say that, these are my businesses. Speaking of clearly saying these are my businesses, I want to thank everyone. This last week, we had a fundraiser for my friend Hans, and he's a big giant man that needed a very expensive and customized heart surgery. And we raised a ton of money at Pearl Street, had a party, a fundraiser, and the turnout was astounding. I'm absolutely humbled by the number of people that showed up for Hans. And it's so cool to see community come together to help each other out. This was amazing. Another example of group problem solving, coming together. And it's going to be a really huge help to Hans. I know he expressed to everyone in his immediate circle how grateful he was. But it was just fantastic to see. So thank you to everyone who came out to that and supported Hans for his heart surgery coming up. All right. In this last segment, we're going to do the events for the week. The events in Buffalo, we like to talk about this again to promote community. We need to meet in person, not just be on our phones all the time. We need to find a way to connect to community, build trust, and build better systems where we can organize better and solve problems together. So these are some opportunities this week in Buffalo, New York, where we can meet up and hang out, go out with your friends, and have a good time. On April 4th, there's Disturbed at the KeyBank Center. Sabres have 2 games on the 5th and 6th against the Lightning and the Bruins. At Buffalo Riverworks on the 3rd, there is roller derby. And then on the 5th, there's the Buffalo Wine Festival. And the 6th is G-Easy. There is a spring flower exhibit at the Botanical Gardens, the Buffalo Botanical Gardens, and that starts on 4/4 and goes to 4/28 with over 30,000 blossoming blooms throughout the whole place. So on opening day of the exhibit from 5 to 8, there is a botanical artisan market featuring 20 different artisans as well. It's another opportunity for a little community connection. The Buffalo History Museum on the 5th at noon has returned to the Rainbow City, Buffalo's Pan American Exposition. It's a 1-hour tour of the new exhibit inside the museum's state court. The fairgrounds this week is the boating show. It's right near my house, and I cut through there quite a bit. And there are boats everywhere, some beautiful new boats. We have amazing opportunities to boat around here with the Great Lakes. And if you're not taking advantage of that, maybe consider it and check out the boat show. On April 5th at the Sportsman's, which is a fantastic venue, we have the Scott Solani Band. Known Scott a long time. He's played at Pearl Street, Riverworks a bunch of times. Really good artist. We also have at Buffalo Ironworks, Tyler Rich. It's a country singer, and that's going to be on April 4th at 7 o'clock. Helium Comedy Club has open mic nights on select Wednesdays, and the next one is on the 2nd of April at 7 o'clock. And you can sign up on their website if you think you have the chops to get on stage, or you can just be part of the audience and enjoy the show. That's always cool. The process of comedy is always fun. It's challenging. It's scary. You got to be really vulnerable. To get up on stage and try to make people laugh, that is a scary proposition. And the people that do it and perfect their craft, I tip my hat to you. This next event, one of the listeners sent in. It is called Toast the Fallen. It is a free event on April 4th from 6 to 11 p.m. at the Hamburg Fairgrounds. It's the Carousel Banquet Facility. There's food, beer, basket auctions, raffles, games, and a lot more. This is a tribute to honor the lives of our fallen heroes and soldiers. Registration is required for this event, even though it's a free event, and that can be had at KIA, like Kia, memorialmarch.com. Let's Toast the Fallen on April 4th. On April 5th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Tift Nature Preserve, so that's right in the Buffalo Outer Harbor, right on the edge there. They're having an Earth Day celebration from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can drop in. There's going to be a little market there and shop all things under one roof for Earth Day, including having things such as live alpacas, live birds, animals from Hawk Creek Wildlife Center, and eco-minded, friendly, environmental small businesses at the outdoor vendor market. All ages are welcome, and the Earth Day market is free to attend. But they do request if you could possibly register, and you can register at Tift. There's 2 F's in Tift, so it's TIFFT.org, and stop by and support them. They're awesome. I love that place. Any place that preserves nature, preserves wildlife, we need to get behind as a community, especially here in Buffalo. And Tift is one of those places that's a staple. Probably the first one that comes to mind for most of us in Western New York is Tift Nature Preserve. So let's keep supporting them and check them out for Earth Day. It's a perfect day to celebrate. April 5th coming up. Let's go down there and have a great time and support a good cause. And for the last event on here that I would like to recommend is on April 5th. This is an invitation. I'd like to personally invite you to come out to see one of my favorite bands. They played here last month as well. This is Roy G. Biv playing at Pearl Street after the Sabres game. So you're talking about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Should be an excellent time. They killed it last time. It was a blast. Anybody wants to come out, if you come up and introduce yourself to me, I will get your first beer or non-alcoholic drink on the house. And we got some really nice non-alcoholic drinks if you're into not drinking. I don't usually drink alcohol, but I drink what's called hop water. Sounds kind of weird at first, but it's basically like a citrus seltzer that's non-alcoholic, triple filtered, real light. It's almost like just like a seltzer you'd get from Wegmans, but maybe a little classier with a more complex little light flavor to it. So if you want to come out on Saturday, come say hello to me. I'll get your first drink, and Roy G. Biv will be playing. They play right around 8:30, 9 o'clock after the Sabres game. And last time they absolutely rocked and killed it. So I'm looking forward to that. Also looking forward to doing whatever we can to keep our communities growing and keep people connected. We're happy the podcast so far has been able to do that quite a few times. And if you have any businesses or upcoming events or things you want highlighted or news stories or breaking news that you want to have aired on the air, please reach out to us via our social media platforms on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll do our best to sort through them and see what fits best with that weekly podcast coming up. We're trying to get to a lot of different events and businesses in the upcoming episodes. Remember, guys, a rising tide raises all ships. We help each other grow. We can build a giant pie together, and way down the road, split that giant pie up. Not about ripping each other off and trying to get the best in the moment. You won't get very far doing that. You get a lot farther working together, collaborating, and going as far as you can. Also, get your kids in jiu-jitsu. Find a place. There's plenty of places around that are mostly all good in the whole area. Tons of good schools. Take your kid to jiu-jitsu. Get them in jiu-jitsu. It is the most life-changing thing that I had in my life that led to tangible results, was learning how to problem solve when another person is trying to choke me or attack me. In this last little sound bit here, we are going to explore what's called The Boy and the Horse. And this is a great, great story. It's a parable, and it is about a boy who can't really tell if something is good or bad until way, way later. And that's how it always is. You can't tell if something is good or bad for you until way, way later. Because let's say you win the lottery, well, that could be the worst thing that ever happened to you. Or let's say that you hurt yourself. That could be a good thing. And this story highlights that in a unique way. And so when I'm going through something that's tough, I try to ground myself and say, hey, this could be a good thing in the long run. Or if I go through something that is overwhelmingly good or joyful, I also ground myself a little bit, say, hey, don't let the highs be too high or the lows be too low. Let's try to enjoy life each day at a time and realize that we don't know how things are going to end. We just keep on living. All right. Here's Alan Watts with the story of the boy and the horse.
Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who lost a horse, ran away. And all the neighbors came round that evening and said, that's too bad. And he said, maybe. The next day, the horse came back and brought 7 wild horses with it. And all the neighbors came around and said, why, that's great, isn't it? And he said, maybe. The next day, his son was attempting to tame one of these horses and was riding it and was thrown and broke his leg. And all the neighbors came round in the evening and said, well, that's too bad, isn't it? And the farmer said, maybe. And the next day, the conscription officers came around looking for people for the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors came round that evening and said, isn't that wonderful? And he said, maybe. The whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity, and it is really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is good or bad, because you never know what will be the consequences of a misfortune, or you never know what will be the consequences of good fortune.